Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. Upper right corner we got Pauline starting as the magenta Zerg. Bottom right corner we got Favorit starting as the green Protoss. So game one, Favorit pulling a 12 Nexus out on Pauline and was able to get it in place and get the cannon positioned before before Pauline was really able to punish him for it. And I'm wondering if that is the case on all of these maps, given their size. We are now on Polestar, by the way. Here on the front, where you got the cool thing in the middle, a couple of with the Kakaroo, or is that what they're called again? Kakaroo, is that right? Yeah, Kakaroos fly high in the sky. Something reading rainbow. Overlord making its way bottom right hand corner, by the way. So should get first scout. Honestly, if it worked game one, might as well do it for game two. I have to say that Favorit just seemed to out macro Pauline. Pauline had the interesting thought. I liked the thought on Metropolis going the Lurker Hydra drop, but I think the Overlord kills were just mounted, slowed his economy down, and he just ended up in a bad macro position. Favorit was really able to capitalize. Looks like this time we are more likely to see a gateway first rather than Nexus first here. I guess if you do it once, maybe try to, you don't want to risk going up against 9-pool. And interestingly enough is Pauline, okay, he is going to go ahead and drop an overpool. In the space of this, we do have, so it's going to be overpool versus gateway. Do we have first scout? Probe did not slot into the 3 o'clock location to check whether there's an overlord, but it does not make a difference because the probe is still making its way top right. Should be have an opportunity to interrupt the hatchery and should know based on this drone timing coming out of the base that it is in fact overpool. They're going to track that drone. That's the one that's maybe, okay, it looks like the drone's going to try to get what damage it can. So spawning pool has been spotted. Favorit now making his way back across. This does... I would love to see actually some Zerg play a little cheeky here, and rather than going for a round of Lings, going for a round of drones in the space of this. Bringing an extra drone down here to deal with it. This drone is scouting rather than dropping the third. That is something... Ooh, and the drone's going to get taken out. Pauline loses a drone to Favorit. That's a big hit early, by the way. Losing a drone at this stage is massive, actually. And he still hasn't gotten that hatchery down. I was expecting this drone to pull back and go ahead and grab a third. But instead, it looks like it is going to draw back, in fact, do that. But I was expecting a more rapid third base. So Pauline getting a very slow start economically here. Is he at least going to be able to get the probe? And it looks like no. Favorit is going to be able to maintain the scouting advantage. First Zealot sitting in no man's land while the probes are occupying, all of the Zerglings. He's going to go ahead and try to sneak a Nexus underneath this. Keep in mind in previous matches that, I'm trying to remember who capitalized on that. Was it Pauline who capitalized in a previous match when someone tried to sneak this? I don't think so. He also had Overlord first. He sees the 2 Zealots out here. The Forge should be down in plenty of time and the gap's filled. Zerglings huddling near that hatchery, but this is going to be a really rough start for Pauline. For one, he lost that probe. 2, the hatchery was just really delayed, and having that spare larva to be able to spend your minerals is pretty significant early, because here you can see he's got minerals to spend, but unless he's investing it in overlords, it's not, he just can't build the way he might want to. Some Zerglings making their way across. With the 3 Zealots and a cannon shortly to follow, I don't think they're going to be able to get a lot of pay dirt out of this. Are grouping up. We're going to see a full 10 in the meantime. And honestly, given the state of game one where Favorit was able to out macro Pauline, I would be a little bit concerned as Pauline. It looks like he's going to check the front just to see. Looks like the assimilator and cybernetics core drop. This is a pretty rapid cybernetics core drop, and no cannon still from Favorit. Zergling speed was not invested in yet. 4th hatchery, so I think this is going to turn into a, with the lack of scouts, so it looks like instead these 10 Zerglings occupying no man's land, their purpose is now to catch any sort of probe scout that's making its way across. You can see they're easily going to be able to do so right there. Going to go ahead and make their way down and engage. We do have 4 Zealots out on the map, and a cannon finally warping in defensively along that corner. But this is going to be very likely a 4-hatch Hydra bust from Pauline. He's a little bit delayed in getting the probe count. I'm trying to remember, or the drone count, I should say. I think the drone count is supposed to be around 22 or so for this. But you can run it off a single gas, mix in some Zerglings, and just start streaming a lot of stuff across. We have the Zealots marching the way. Want to try to confirm what's going on. This is more towards 973 timing. We also do have the Stargate about finished. So I think the problem for Pauline is it might have been successful. There's the Hydra Den. Might have been successful. Unfortunately for him, well, okay, the Zealots have backed out. We'll see. The problem is it's coming a lot later than it would have otherwise. Zergling's going to make their way right back out in the field. Where is... I mean, we do have a probe that snuck out. Is trying to check the scenario. Overlord diving in just to confirm what he's seeing. We do have a Citadel of Adun in the space of this. And I will say at Dark Templar, if it can... I don't... it's going to be a minute. Dark Templar nowhere near the speed. There you can see the padded Zerglings being constructed. This probe should get eyes. Yeah, so now it's going to see that hatchery out of position, sees the Hydralis Den, and knows that this is more likely than not going to be a rapid attack. I'm trying to remember where it hits. I think it hits around typically 730, 740. So we might see it a little bit later. And you can see the Zealots they're not going to bother to hang around and wait for this. The Corsair are going to go for the near side Overlord as well, now that everything's been detected by that probe. This is another advantage of getting extra probe scouting. Egg being cleared out potentially to allow additional cannons to be placed. Yeah, second egg being placed. That's going to put Pauline in the red right when he wanted to get Hydras constructed. Is going for +1 weapons. The one thing for Pauline, what he can do, he's hurt here. He's going to be behind, but he could theoretically try to pull back and just macro up behind this and pray and hope. But I think if he's going for a bust at this stage, Favorit is going to be well prepared for it. Right now, Favorit has invested 5 cannons. He is holding the Hydralisks right this second, and he is going ahead and taking the lair. It looks like that is Pauline's. That is the option he's going to choose right here. So now this is where Favorit wants... He's got actually a significant amount of Zealots. Might want to just keep his eyes onto whether they start making their way out onto the map or not. And more or less just make sure that he's not getting over swarmed. But we are seeing drones starting to fill in, so I think this is mostly to provide a threat and a contain. Yeah, basically trying to signal to Pauline, hey, you really need those cannons because I'm coming now. This is a good play here from Favorit. He's going to go and try to cut the baseline in half to see whether additional Hydralisks are being produced. And upon seeing nothing thus far and only 2 Hydralisks, so here he only sees 2 making their way across. He does drop a cannon in the space of this. The Zealots have marched forward, cleared out some Zerglings, even got some Hydralisk kills. Cleared out most of the Hydralisks as well. Now this is a problem for Pauline, where he doesn't have enough to push back the Zealot force that's on the ground. +1 weapons is finished, by the way, +1 armor on the way. How many gateways we're looking at? We're looking at about 4 gateways right this second. And Pauline has not set up a Sim City here at the 12 o'clock. Has dropped a creep colony, it looks like, but this is going to be too little too late if those Zealots do make their way forward. A Dark Templar making its way across. Is it going to be able to make it? I don't think so. Yeah. Cute thought, but no, not able to get a lot accomplished here. Range now finished for those Zealots, but this is more the soft areas, this 12 o'clock base. Zealots could get a lot of damage up here. Sunken Colony has finished. The Zealots are somewhat scattered away from it. The drones at least piling up. Are we going to get some drone kills? Getting a few drone kills in the space of this. And I think this... Okay, so there was damage done here from Favorit. He got a handful of drones right there, but that actually worked about as well as it could have in his favor. He defended fairly well, was able to wipe out the latent Zealot force, and now he's got a good grouping of Hydralisks that can more or less block Favorit in briefly. Not enough to do any sort of bust, but enough to create a detente where he can get some more drones out in the field should he decide to do so. It looks like the Corsair is keeping its head down top right hand corner, by the way. This is a lot of Hydralisks. Is Pauline now going to go for a bust? Diving in, one Psystorm clears the initial grouping of Hydralisks. All sorts of Overlords here at the front. Yeah, I think all of a sudden Pauline's was thinking, well, maybe I'm going to go for it. At the very least, he's going to get a gateway. Third gas has been dropped. It's kind of funny because I think that was like, I'm going to go for a bust, and then Oops, that didn't work out. Let's go ahead and drone up. Unfortunately, by doing that halvesy sort of thing, he's not surging to the plus 40 drones that really put you in a good position in the mid or late game. And as a result, he built a whole lot of units that aren't going to accomplish a lot for him, aside from kind of a soft contain that he effectively had anyway, because Favorit had expended those zealots, and he's not going to have to worry. Favorit wasn't going to move out until after the Gateway Flood, and until he had a good padding of units and an observer out. And now, basically donated some units, built some units that he didn't need. Favorit's got the 30 supply lead. As soon as that observer's out, he's going to move, and this is not going to be a sufficient attack force by the time that comes around. There is a brief +1 weapons versus +1 weapons aspect here, but +1 armor just now finishing. Zealots moving out here from Favorit. Actually, I take it back. I thought he was going to wait for the observatory, but instead making his way out to line up, looks like to try to line up a Psystorm. How did that Hydralisk not take more Psystorm damage? Is there a misfire chance on Psystorm? I don't think there is, right? Corsair confirming how many Hydralisks are in this space. There's the observer. He just moved a little bit too early. That's all it was. The observer was there. He just moved out a little bit early. So now we got a 40 supply lead here from Favorit. High Templar got picked off. That's actually significant. Pauline doing a pretty good job of walking these units back. We have some lurkers attempting to morph on the high ground. The Psystorms have not been great here from Favorit. And he's already lost several. He's lost several High Templar. This would have been a good moment to, well, not with the observer, but lost the observer. And Favorit now doing some favors for Pauline. Turnaround Psystorm. Lurker survives with 1 health. And now it's going to be a wash. And all of a sudden, Pauline in a not terrible position. We got another attack force that's still got a supply lead. But all of a sudden, we're up to 40 workers. Which you maybe want to have a 4th base at the stage and a little bit more. Favorit gonna try to go ahead and grab his 3rd while those lurkers are morphing. Might have an opportunity to do so. Overlord moving down from Pauline to check that position. So in a minute, once these lurkers are complete, we're now going to see an attack here. Favorit recognizing it, trying to regroup his troops. Kind of an odd situation for Pauline, where he needs to push the lurkers back away from his 3rd. And Pauline also needs to worry about not getting detained, swarming the lurkers from both ends. The Dragoon's able to get on top of it, so that's going to clear them out. And there's not enough Hydralisks to really threaten the Dragoons, and as a result, this 3rd base is going to come online, and Pauline's going to be late to his 4th. Unfortunately. So a lot of the engagements not working out for Pauline thus in the early stages here. He's going to get +2 weapons on this Hydralisk force, which is going to make it a lot stronger, but he's still down a significant amount of supply. +2 armor is not that far behind. We got a healthy gateway count. Well, we'll see if these Hydralisks are able to snipe the probe line as they're making the way. Not sure that the Overlord has spotted it, or that there's the game sense to dive down. Pauline remustering another group of Hydralisks, but again, I like how Favorit has been playing this. He's been going to the high ground on the left and maintaining a group of Zealots and High Templar and Dragoons usually to the right, so that he can sandwich between the two as soon as the units make their way across, and it's really been favorable, high ground to low ground assaults. Pauline's just been going into the valley time and time again. Overlord spots that 3rd is in fact in place, and Pauline has made no movements to either contain or grab a 4th right this second, which means he's got to attack and win with these attacks, which is going to be a tall order right this second. Psystorm catching a lot of those Hydralisks. 2nd Psystorm landing on a lot. They're going to morph to Archon immediately. The observer is somewhat very out of position to engage, as the lurkers mostly going to be ignored. It looks like a lot of that trooping was in fact blockaded 2 directions. Favorit shoving a huge amount of troops into the 12 o'clock. The drones preemptively trying to exit, losing a lot of their lives on the retreat, and I think that is likely going to be a dead hatchery. Favorit, I don't think by intent, but through some side execution, had a lingering side army that was able to pincer the attack force, and that is going to be it. I don't even, despite that, I still don't think that was going to be enough. But regardless, the drone count, yeah, just not high enough here for Pauline to contend. Favorit doing a good job controlling the engagements. He's going to win and advance. Yeah, so it's 3 losses and you're out. So I do believe that Favorit was now eliminated, or sorry, that Pauline was now eliminated, and Favorit still has some shots in the later stages of these brackets. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.